The Sabres take on the Penguins, 7 o'clock Eastern puck drop. Pittsburgh's minus 245, total 6. We went 5-1 in our 6 premium sports picks on BrockPage.com yesterday. That improves our record to 10-1 in our last 11 college basketball tier package picks on that very website. And the good news is we have another college basketball tier package pick going off here today. We're also 10-1 with a push in our last 12 extra daily picks on that very same webpage. And if you want to access today's extra daily pick, it's only going to cost you just $2.99. We currently have over 905 members who are signed up and active on that site. And if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks on my channel that I'm actually betting on personally, there's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for a membership on my website at BrockPage.com. Tristan Jarry is the starter in net for Pittsburgh. Dustin Tokarski for Buffalo. Now, Dustin's got a .294 goals against average, .908 save percentage. Pretty good numbers there for Tokarski. The Sabres are currently in the top 10 in first period goals allowed on the road. Meanwhile, offensively, Rasmus Asplund has 10 total points on the season, +4 when he's on the ice. Meanwhile, Skinner, Thompson, and Olofsson, they all have 9 points apiece themselves. They're taking on a Penguins team who lost their last 2 straight, 2-7 straight up in their last 9. The Pens have also successfully cashed in on the puck line in just 3 of 9 home games. This Pittsburgh club tends to break down late in games. They're in the bottom 5 in third period home scoring. They're also in the bottom 3 in third period goals allowed on their home ice as well. Now, injury-wise, Malkin is still on the IR for Pittsburgh. Anderson and Olofsson are questionable for Buffalo. Now, total-wise, 6 out of Buffalo's last 8 contests got over the total of 6 goals. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh's 3 out of their last 5 games got over the total of 6 goals themselves. I'm going to lean toward Buffalo +1.5 over 6. Next matchup, Islanders, Panthers, 7 o'clock East. Florida's -170, totals 5.5. Spencer Knight for the Panthers, Ilya Sorokin for New York. Despite some pretty good numbers out of Sorokin, the Islanders have lost their last 3 straight, and they rank in the bottom 5 in goals allowed on the road. They're taking on a Florida team who's undefeated at home despite their recent struggles. The Panthers are in the top 3 in home scoring, and they're led by Alex Barkov, who scored 9 times already, and he also has 16 total points. Now, Barkov is a +10 when he's on the ice, and speaking of plus-minus, Anthony Duclair's a +12, which is 3rd in the entire NHL. Now, defensively, the Panthers are in the top 10 in fewest home goals allowed. Spencer Knight is 4-2 thus far in the season through 6 starts in net. And injury-wise, Marchman is questionable for Florida. Cizikas is questionable for the Isles. Now, total-wise, 2 out of New York's last 4 contests got over the total of 5.5 goals, throwing out the Tampa game. Meanwhile, the Panthers saw 4 out of their last 6 get over the total of 5.5 themselves. Florida's officially 5-2 to the over on their home ice. I'm going to lean toward Florida -170 over 5.5. Next contest, Flames, Flyers, 7 o'clock Eastern start time. Calgary's -120, totals 5.5. Jacob Markstrom for Calgary, Carter Hart for Philadelphia. Despite some really good starts out of Carter Hart, the Flyers have still dropped 3 out of their last 5, and they're in the bottom 5 in scoring on average per game. As a matter of fact, the Flyers have been held to just 2 goals or less in 8 out of their last 10 games. They're taking on a Calgary team who leads the NHL in road scoring. Andrew Mangiapane leads the club with 10 goals. Eli Lindholm has 16 points on the season as well. Lindholm's a +11, which is 6th in the NHL. Now, defensively, the Flames are in the top 3 in fewest goals allowed per contest. Jake Markstrom has a 1.81 goals against average, .935 save percentage. Now, injury-wise, Pitlick is still questionable for Calgary. Ellis, he's on the IR for Philly. Total-wise, Philly went 6-1 to the under in their last 7 outings. 6 out of Calgary's last 9 fell under the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward Calgary minus 120, under 5.5. Next matchup, Predators, Leafs, 7 o'clock East. Toronto's minus 210, totals 5.5. Jack Campbell for the Leafs, UC Saros for Nashville. Saros is 7-4 with a .217 goals against average, .927 save percentage. The Preds are in the top 10 in fewest goals allowed per contest. They're also 6-2 against the number in their last 8 on the road. Now, scoring-wise, Matt Duchene leads the club with 9 goals, 16 total points. Meanwhile, Roman Josi and Michael Granlund each have 16 points apiece themselves. Nashville is currently in the top 10 in road scoring. They're taking on a Toronto club who successfully cashed in on the puck line in just 30% of their home games. As a matter of fact, the Leafs are just 4-12 against the number overall for the season. The Leafs are in the bottom 10 in the NHL in goals allowed per contest at home. When it comes to the total on this one, 3 out of Toronto's last 5 outings got over the total of 5.5 goals. Meanwhile, the Predators are 5-3 to the over on the road this year themselves. I'm going to lean toward Nashville plus 1.5, over 5.5. Next game, Canadiens, Rangers, 7 o'clock Eastern start time. New York's minus 195, totals 5.5. Igor Shesterkin for the Rangers, Caden Primo for Montreal. Now, Primo's making his debut with Montreal here tonight. The Habs lost 7 out of their last 9 contests. They're just 1-7 straight up when traveling. Montreal's in the bottom 3 in goals allowed per contest. Meanwhile, offensively, they've also struggled to score on the road. Now, they're taking on a Rangers team who's on a 3-game winning streak themselves. They also scored 13 total goals during that stretch. The Rangers are currently in the top 5 in fewest goals allowed per contest at home. Igor Shesterkin is 7-2 with a .245 goals against average, .929 save percentage. Meanwhile, Fox, Trouba, and Lindgren are all +3 when they're on the ice. Pretty good production out of those defensemen. Now, injury-wise, Reeves is still on the IR for New York. Allen and Drouin are questionable for Montreal. When it comes to the number in this one, 2 out of Montreal's last 4 outings fell under the total of 5.5 goals. Meanwhile, the Rangers are 60% to the under for the entire season themselves. Pretty hefty price, but it's a tight window, so I'm going to lean toward New York. The Rangers minus 195, under 5.5. Next matchup, Oilers, Jets, 8 o'clock East. Edmonton's minus $1.15, total 6.5. Mikko Koskinen for Edmonton, Connor Hellebuck for Winnipeg. The Jets are in the bottom 10 in offensive shots on goal. Stasny and Ehlers are both listed as questionable for Winnipeg as well. The Jets are in the bottom 10 in first period scoring at home. They're taking on an Edmonton team who allows very few goals per contest on the road. Mikko Koskinen's 9-1 with a .274 goals against average, .915 save percentage. Meanwhile, offensively, Edmonton's led by Leon Draisaitl, who has 13 goals and 31 points on the season. And of course, Draisaitl's leading the NHL in goals and points. But he's also third in assists, and he's third in plus-minus as well. Meanwhile, Connor McDavid scored 10 times and leads the NHL with 17 assists. Edmonton's 4-3 to the under on the road. Winnipeg's 5-3 to the under at the Canada Life Center. Give me Edmonton minus $1.15, under 6.5. Next game, Sharks, Wild, 8 o'clock East. Minnesota's minus 180, totals 5.5. Cam Talbot for the Wild, James Reimer for San Jose. Reimer has a .182 goals against average, .940 save percentage. Despite the recent struggles, the Sharks are in the top 10 in defensive shots on goal on the road. They've also gone 5-3 against the number in their last 8 road games. Logan Couture has 6 goals, 6 assists. He's also a +5 when he's on a shift. Matter of fact, the Sharks are currently in the top 5 in third period scoring on the road. They're taking on a Minnesota club who failed to cash in on the puck line in 4 out of their last 5 home games. Now, equally as bad to that, the Wild's in the bottom 3 in the league in first period goals allowed at home. Now, total-wise, 3 out of San Jose's last 4 contests fell under the total. The Sharks are officially 5-3 to the under on the road. I'm going to lean towards San Jose plus 1.5, under 5.5 goals. Next contest, Coyotes, Blues, 8 o'clock East. St. Louis is minus 310, totals 5.5. Jordan Binnington for the Blues, Scotty Wedgwood for Arizona. Now, Wedgie's lost 3 out of his last 4 starts, as Arizona's allowing more goals per contest than any other team in hockey. The Coyotes are just 1-14 straight up overall for the year, and they rank dead last in scoring on average per game as well. They are the clear-cut favorite for worst team in the NHL. Now, they're taking on a St. Louis club who's having little problems scoring despite their recent struggles. Jordan Kyrou has 6 goals, 16 points. Meanwhile, Vlad Tarashenko has 7 goals, 7 assists himself. Now, defensively, on the other end of the ice, St. Louis is in the top 10 in fewest first-period goals allowed. Jordan Binnington, 6-3 with a .280 goals against average, .915 save percentage. When it comes to the total on this one, 5 out of St. Louis's last 8 fell under the line. Meanwhile, Arizona's 70% to the under on the road. I'm going to lean towards St. Louis minus 1.5, under 5.5 goals. Next game, Red Wings, Stars, 8:30 Eastern puck drop. Dallas is minus 185, totals 5.5. Jake Oettinger for Dallas, Alex Nedeljkovic for Detroit. Delke's 4-2 with a .278 goals against average, .918 save percentage. The Red Wings have won 4 out of their last 6, and they're also in the top 5 in scoring on average per game. Lucas Raymond and Tyler Bertuzzi, they have 17 points apiece. Bertuzzi's a +9 this year as well. They're taking on a Dallas crew who lost 6 out of their last 8. And they failed to cash in on the puck line in 4 out of their last 5 home games. The Stars are in the bottom 3 in the league in scoring on average per contest. Now, total-wise, Dallas's last 5 straight all got over the total of 5.5 goals. Meanwhile, the Red Wings are 6-2 to the over when traveling. I'm going to lean toward Detroit plus 1.5, over 5.5 goals. Next game, Hurricanes, Golden Knights, 10 o'clock East. Carolina's minus 145, total 6. Freddie Anderson for Carolina, Robin Lehner for Vegas. And as good as Lehner's been numbers-wise, the Knights have given up a bunch of goals at home this season. They're currently in the bottom 5 in home goals allowed. The Knights are also allowing 33 shots on goal a game at the T-Mobile Arena. Now, offensively, the Knights are in the bottom 10 in second period scoring. They're taking on a Carolina club who won 8 out of their last 10 and suffered just 1 loss on the road this year. The Canes currently give up fewer goals per contest than any other team in the NHL. Meanwhile, offensively, the Canes are in the top 10 in third period scoring on the road. Andrei Svechnikov has 17 total points on the season, plus 8 when he's on the ice. Meanwhile, Tony DeAngelo has 11 assists on the year, 13 total points for DeAngelo. Now, injury-wise, Niederreiter and Nakos are questionable for Carolina. Ranta is out. Meanwhile, for Vegas, Martinez, Marchessault, and Carrier are out for today as well. 6 out of Vegas's last 8 contests got over the posted number. They also saw 4 out of their last 6 meetings with Carolina get over the line as well. I'm going to lean toward Carolina minus 145, over 6 goals. Next and final matchup, it is going to be Capitals versus the Ducks, 10 o'clock Eastern puck drop. Washington's minus $1.25, total 6. Vitek Vanacek for Washington, John Gibson for Anaheim. Johnny Gibson's 8-2 with a .237 goals against average, .924 save percentage. The Ducks are in the top 10 in fewest goals allowed per contest. They're also 6-2 with an overtime loss at home this year. Now, scoring-wise, Troy Terry has 11 goals on this season. He's third in the NHL in that category. Terry also has 20 total points, which is fourth in the league as well. Meanwhile, center Ryan Getzlaf has 16 assists on this season. The Ducks are currently leading the NHL in scoring on average per contest. They're taking on a Washington club who's in the bottom 5 in second period goals allowed on the road. Now, total-wise, 5 out of Washington's last 9 fell under the total of 6 goals. Meanwhile, the Ducks are 5-4 to the under on their home ice. I'm going to lean toward Anaheim plus 105 and the under 6 goals. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap, powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we are 10-1 in our last 11 college basketball tier package picks. I'm leaning toward Buffalo plus 1.5 over 6 goals. I also like Florida minus 170 over 5.5. I'm also leaning toward Calgary minus 120 under 5.5. Nashville plus 1.5 over 5.5 goals. New York Rangers minus 195 under 5.5. Edmonton minus $1.15 under 6.5. I also like San Jose plus 1.5 under 5.5 goals. St. Louis minus 1.5 under 5.5. Detroit plus 1.5 over 5.5 goals. Carolina minus 145 over 6. And before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we are 10-1 in our last 11 college basketball tier package picks. We're also 10-1 with a push in our last 12 extra daily picks on that very same website. I'm going to lean toward Anaheim plus 105 under 6 goals. And with that, guys, now it's time for our shout out of the day. And that's going to go to Aris Garcia, who said the other day, "You give the best analysis when doing the picks." And I certainly appreciate the compliment. I tell you what, we're doing our best to get better every single day. I do what I can. I appreciate the compliment. I always think we can get better and do better, so I appreciate the compliment. But we continually strive for continual improvement on this site. But anyway, I appreciate the comment. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on brockpage.com. Now, if you guys do end up getting a membership here today on that website, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today on brockpage.com, you are going to get access to that content all the way through the end of November. But I do always tell folks on every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. With that said, guys, happy Tuesday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at brockpage.com.